Good morning. My name is Stella Natufe, and I work for the City of Chicago, Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection. Welcome to the BACP Business Education Workshop webinar series. We have adapted our regular business education workshops at City Hall into these webinars until further notice. On behalf of our Commissioner, Rosa Escareno, I want to inform you that business licenses can be processed online by visiting chicagobusinessdirect.org. If you are a part of the BACP Entrepreneur Certificate Program, you can get credit for joining this webinar by sending an email to bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. If you want to learn more about this program, please visit chicago.gov/business education. To help guide your business and employees during Chicago's reopening process, please visit chicago.gov/reopening. Also, BACP and the City of Chicago's Office of Emergency Management and Communications created Biz Emergency Alerts. You can opt in to receive targeted emergency alerts for the business community. If you are interested, please visit chicago.gov/Biz Alerts. We would like to encourage all of our attendees today to ask questions. Please use the chat box and send your questions to all panelists. There will be a Q&A session at the end of this presentation. Today's webinar is entitled Grants, Incentives, and Free Help for Your Business, presented by Andrew Fogaty, of the Executive Director of 36 Squared Business Incubator. At this time, I will now turn over this webinar to Andrew for us to begin.
Great. Thank you very much, Stella. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you're perfect.
Okay, great. So today we're going to be talking about, again, grants, incentives, and free help for your business. What I do is economic development. I've been doing this for more than 12 years, but prior to that, I was an entrepreneur. I would, just like many of you, I would have an idea, and I just couldn't wait to act on it. I wish I had known about the available assistance, and I wish it had been available then, what's available today. There's just a wide range of available free assistance, and that's what we're going to talk about now. So if you're listening to this, if you're attending the webinar, you have an idea for a business and you're currently in business, you feel kind of alone, where do you turn for help? That's exactly what we're going to be talking about. So the first thing I want to touch on is the City of Chicago's Neighborhood Business Development Center program. At the 36 Square Business Incubator, I'm happy to say that this year we're part of the NBDC program. So thank you for that, BACP. And it's really a significant program. What the City of Chicago has done is located neighborhood business development centers. I was looking at the list earlier this morning. It's really extensive. They're in virtually every neighborhood. There is not a listing available up on the city site yet, to my understanding, but just a couple of the larger organizations that will host centers, the Women's Business Development Centers, my colleagues at the Greater Southwest Development Corporation, the Andersonville Chamber, I believe. There's just a number of new neighborhood business development centers opening up and being available. At the end of this presentation, you'll see an email address for Veronica, who's our program manager at 36 Squared for our NBDC. If you'd like to, if you shoot her an email along with your zip code, I'm sure she'd be happy to either assist you or direct you to the NBDC that would be closest to you. Now there's neighborhood centers that can tell you if you're moving into a neighborhood with your business, opening a store, looking to open manufacturing location. They can certainly talk to you about various available space, probably zoning, licensing restrictions, that type of thing. If you just want to talk about getting your business started, the NBDCs can do that too. City-related issues sometimes can be tricky. Okay, there's a lot of regulations and licensing requirements and permitting that it's very difficult for somebody who is not part of this world, this nonprofit economic development world, to navigate. So the NBDCs are there to assist you with that too. Also networking opportunities, employment, marketing assistance, essentially a one-stop shop to assist you with your business, and it's at no charge. So take advantage of the NBDCs. On the state side, we have Illinois Small Business Development Centers. There's about 40 SBDCs throughout the state. At 36 Squared, I head up one of the SBDCs, and I'm also over the SBDC at the Greater Southwest Development Corporation. So we work closely with them also. The Small Business Development Centers are funded by the SBA, the Illinois Department of Commerce, and they have a wide range, perhaps the widest scope of all of the business assistance centers. Sometimes people will come in and talk to me about they just have an idea. They want somebody to kick an idea around. When you sign up as an SBDC client, it's also a confidentiality. So if somebody has an idea, I can't steal it. I can't tell their competitors about it. And that's the same for my colleagues across the state. And once again, it's a great resource. So both the NBDCs and the SBDCs can assist you in finding funding. Sometimes it might be a microloans all the way up to multi-million-dollar SBA funding. So all across the board, both the NBDCs and the SBDCs can assist you with. SBDCs also work with writing a business plan, marketing assistance, pretty much whatever you need. It's good to chat with your professional at the NBDC or the SBDC to see, what assistance is available very specifically for you. I should say you don't have to join one or the other. You can certainly work with an NBDC and an SBDC at the same time. And I would somewhat recommend it. All of us who are involved at these centers, we have different backgrounds, different specialties. So there may be, I may have an answer for a question, but somebody at an NBDC across the city maybe have a better answer. They may have more experience in that particular field. So make sure that you're checking out your options there. Now, if you have a product, if you're currently in business, you have a product, and you're thinking about exporting. If you're making marmalade and you want to get your marmalade to Australia, well, what kind of labeling requirements do they have for marmalade in Australia? How are you going to get it to Australia? Who pays the insurance if the ship sinks with all your marmalade on? How do you do these things? Well, the Illinois International Trade Centers, they're my colleagues. They work closely with the SBDCs. They are there specifically for that purpose, to assist you in getting your products or services into markets overseas. If you're in Illinois, if you're well in Illinois and in the United States, usually the first steps would be Canada or Mexico. They're our largest trading partners, but certainly there are requirements, licensing requirements, international trade requirements that you need to look into. The international trade centers are there for that purpose. And once again, that's also at no charge. A lot of people don't know that the state of Illinois has actually people on the ground in a number of different countries around the world. So occasionally the Illinois ITCs are able to pick up the cost of, or at least a portion of the cost of sending Illinois manufacturers to trade shows around the world. And when they get to those trade shows, they don't just sit at a table handing out logo pens. The people on the ground for the state of Illinois are pre-setting appointments, qualified appointments for potential buyers of their product. So it's a really great service. Now, the other centers that I work with quite a bit, and actually my colleague Joshua at Greater Southwest is an expert on this. He's the director of the Greater Southwest Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Now, what that does is walk Illinois business people through the process of getting government contracts. And this is important. It's actually a fairly, it's pretty paperwork heavy on the front end. It's not that easy on the front end. So that's why we have professionals like at the PTACs to assist you through it. You need to first be registered through the federal government SAM system. You need to have a DUNS number. You need to be registered through the state of Illinois' GATA system. I'm not going to go into depth on those now, but once you do that and your local PTAC advisor can assist you with that, he and you can start looking for NOFOs, Notice of Funding Opportunities, RFPs, request for requests for proposals. These are when the government wants to buy something. The city, the state, and the federal government buy everything. They buy a number of different items you would never guess. They have a number of different services, pest control, asphalt. Whatever you do, there's a good chance that one of the government entities could use your product or service. So I would really recommend that if you have a product or service and you're looking for government contacts, you contact your Procurement Technical Assistance Center. When I started doing this in this field of economic development, I started out as part of the City of Chicago's LERI program. Now, LERI stands for Local Industrial Retention Initiative. Usually this, I would work mostly with manufacturers. It's industrial and mostly in manufacturing areas of the city. And your LERI representative is your liaison to City Hall. So if you have questions about zoning, if you're making a product and there's a lot of sawdust, for example, how do you get rid of it legally? If an inspector comes in and you're not quite certain that you want a little of assistance, understanding what's going on, how to going to bat for you with City Hall. That's kind of the LERI's job. They're your liaison for manufacturers to City Hall. And I would highly recommend that if you're a manufacturer in the city of Chicago, you contact your LERI representative just to see what's available. Typically, the LERIs, the SBDCs, the NBDCs, they will also be the first people who learn about city grants, incentives, state grants and incentives. So for example, if last year when the state of Illinois' business interruption grant came out, myself and my colleagues learned about it first. And the first thing I would do, and we would do, is get on the phone to the people that we knew were desperate for this program and contact them and tell them how to apply. So it's free to work with any of these programs that I've mentioned, and it's well worth your while. So I want to encourage you to do that. Your local chamber of commerce. Now this is, I would recommend you check out your local chamber of commerce. Sometimes there's membership fees, but they're a good source of information, once again, about the community, about the city, about business opportunities in the area. It's also a good way to network in with your neighborhood, other businesses. It helps nobody is an island. It helps to know what other people are doing. And also you can share tips and leads and resources that way and do business. So Chamber of Commerce is a good place to start. I know this is a City of Chicago webinar. There are often people who are either live in Chicago, but they're doing business outside or vice versa. Your local municipality, no matter how small it is, Evanston, Des Plaines, Orland Park. If you're doing business, check in with them, ask to speak to their economic development department. Usually there's at least one person whose job it is to do that. If you're moving into that community, tell them what you're doing, ask them for available resources, ask them for location assistance. Usually every municipality, they're in competition against each other. So they want to welcome you in there. They want to assist you in opening your business. Sometimes there can be grants and incentives involved because they want you to create jobs in their community. The SBA, Small Business Administration, sba.gov, there's a lot of good resources on there, on that website. And the SBA itself also frequently does webinars and trainings on business issues. And then SCORE, which is available throughout the city. I know that they had a desk on the 8th floor at City Hall, and I think they're still offering assistance. They're also a great resource for starting or business. Now, a lot of times when I do these webinars, there's often people where what they want to start doing is either growing their real estate portfolio, flipping houses, fixing up and rehabilitating buildings. And I just want to touch quickly on a couple of resources for that. The one that I'm most impressed with is the Cook County Land Bank. You can see there, it's cookcountylandbank.org. When properties are abandoned or foreclosed on or they're tax delinquent, a lot of times the county will take possession of them for sale at cookcountylandbank.org. And the prices that are just absolutely amazing. There's a storefront, 2900 block of 63rd Street I saw a few weeks ago. I'm not sure it's still available. But to own the building, be $20,000 from the Cook County Land Bank. Now, most of these buildings do need repair. They have both residential and commercial and some industrial properties. But once again, what they are selling at such a discounted rate. If that's the type of business that you're going into, or if you can use a property for your business, certainly take a look at it. They have an interactive map where you can see color-coded dots across the city. What's an industrial property? What's a residential property? And you go on and essentially bid on the property. So it's very much worthwhile. If you're hoping to flip houses, or if you just want a good deal on a house for yourself, the Fannie, I recommend you look into foreclosed government-owned properties. And the two websites that I'm familiar with where these are listed are homepath.com, which is Fannie Mae properties, and homesteps.com, which are Freddie Mac properties. These are both government-sponsored websites. You will find other foreclosure sites, but these sites are directly run by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, so you don't have to register or pay a fee. Same with the Cook County Land Bank. I believe that they update their listing every Wednesday, so it's worthwhile to check back frequently to see to find the correct property for you. But once again, there's some good deals available. Now, if you are purchasing a building, if you're, say, a manufacturer, you found a building that you want to move into, before you purchase that building, you should look into 6B or 7B, and there's some other designations to tax incentives. What this is, that if you are a manufacturer, say, and you're going to create 100 jobs, and you found a building, before you buy it, this is key to this and to most of the incentives I'm going to talk about. Very few of them are retroactive. So before you purchase the building, one, to contact the county and ask them about tax incentives, because there's a competition for your business. There's a competition between Cook County and other counties, Illinois and other states, the US and other countries. There's competition for your business. So it's good to explore what, incentives, what can be done for you to encourage you to locate your business here. So if you have not bought the property yet, you want to explore a 6B or 7B tax incentive. What that's going to do is cut your property taxes roughly in half for up to 10 years, and then it's renewable for another 10 years. So 20 years of having your property taxes cut in half is a significant amount of, once again, after you buy the building, you're already in. So the argument you're making to the county is, I would like to buy this building. I would like to locate my manufacturing company here. However, I need some assistance. You can't do that after you purchased it, because they already know you've purchased the building, your manufacturing company's there. So from their standpoint, there is no incentive for the county to give you the tax incentive after the property is acquired. The City of Chicago Small Business Improvement Fund. This is one of the best run incentive programs that I've run into. I've worked with it with my clients a lot over the years. If you currently have a property in the City of Chicago, typically this is a commercial or industrial property. It's not usually retail, but a commercial or industrial property in the City of Chicago. And if you need air conditioning, if you need tuck pointing, if you need plumbing assistance, if you need ADA upgrades to the building, the Small Business Improvement Fund will assist you in doing this. They will reimburse you for 50 to 90% of the build out. And the maximum amount you could get for an industrial property would be $250,000. Now, with most for-profit companies and the larger companies, it will be a 50% reimbursement. That's been my experience. So if you had an industrial property in Chicago and you were doing $500,000 worth of work on it, you could very likely get $250,000 of that reimbursed. The SPIF program is not available is widely available across the city, but is not available everywhere. It is in TIFs, but it's also not in TIFs. So to find out if there's SPIF funding available in your area, you would want to go to summercorps.com and click on SPIF. The SPIF program is not, and actually most of these grant programs are not available everywhere all the time. So for example, the SPIF program will open up at the beginning of a month, a certain area, and typically they'll accept applications for 30 days and then it will close. There's typically a finite amount of funding in the SPIF area. So if there's $1 million, then they could, yeah, that's the limit to what they can expand on these programs. However, it's been my experience that most people who apply either do get accepted or sometimes they go on a wait list and get accepted a little bit later on. So if you're in that position, certainly I recommend that you check out summercorps.com and SPIF program. I put a little gold star on this one because I really commend the city for coming up with the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund. It's really been a great help to the neighborhoods on the south and the west side of the city. I want to say this opportunity, this grant program is not available now to my understanding, but I am expected to reopen again later in the year. So the website is neighborhoodopportunityfund.com and look for that. Check back to that website often because I do expect it to reopen. And when it does, I want you to be in a position to be able to apply for this. So essentially, the nice thing about this is it's targeted towards improving neighborhoods. So if you're on the south or you're on the west side and there's a building and you've thought about putting an art gallery, theater, or a community center, or a coffee shop and yoga shop, business incubator, this is the best opportunity for you. Funding can be used for land acquisition, buying the building, environmental remediation, security, roofing, financing fees, soft costs associated with the project. My recommendation is that you go to neighborhoodopportunityfund.com and take a look at the people that have already been funded, who've been successful in the type of projects they are. What you'll see is there's not going to be manufacturers in there. There's going to be, as I said, theaters, there's going to be coffee shops, there's going to be business incubators, things that will improve the community. And if you're willing to hire from the community, then you get even more assistance from the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund. You do have to convince the city, essentially, within the application, that what you're doing is a good investment to improve the neighborhood. So a good way to start would be to go to neighborhoodopportunityfund.com and put in the address of the building or the property that you would like to start your project on. It will tell you if it's eligible, and then you really want to do some research so you have a very, very strong application to put in. But it's my hope and my belief that this Neighborhood Opportunity Development Fund will be coming available again, hopefully before the end of the year. Disabled entrepreneurship. So at the 36 Squared Business Incubator, we do help everybody, but we have special two focuses. One would be on manufacturing. We work and I work with a lot of manufacturers. And the other is on disabled entrepreneurs. The way this came about is about 6 or 7 years ago, I started working with blind chef Laura Martinez. She had been blind since infancy, so virtually no memory of color or type of thing. However, she wanted to be a chef. And it was a very hard road because nobody thought she could be a chef. So she was successful after a great deal of perseverance in becoming a chef, and eventually went to work for Charlie Trotter's. So as many of you know, City of Chicago and Charlie Trotter's, that's a very high-end, was a very high-end restaurant. It was a tough boss, so you have to be a good chef to work for him. Well, Charlie Trotter went out of business, and Chef Laura was unemployed. She had a great deal of trouble getting interviews and finding work because restaurant owners are understandably wary of hiring a chef because of insurance restrictions and others. So she decided to open her own restaurant. And what happened is that a lot of people be very nice and supportive to her face. And then later on, they would come to me and they would say, oh, a blind person can't own a restaurant. So she was not getting the type of assistance that I felt that she deserved. There were other disabled business development assistance programs available, but they were usually run by well-meaning social workers, essentially. People, they were not part of the wider business community. So it was quite a bit of work. We were successful in getting Chef Laura's business launched. It was called La Diosa. It successfully ran in Lincoln Park for 4 years. And this is what gave us, Chef Laura and I, the idea of trying to create an organization that would invite and include disabled entrepreneurs. So if you are, or if you know a disabled entrepreneur, I'd like you to take a look at the 36 Squared Business Incubator Boost Grant. Planning on opening the Boost Award application up, not later today, certainly by Monday at noon. Okay, so by Monday at noon, go to 36business.org and look for Boost Awards. We're going to be leaving the award application live for probably 6 weeks, and then we're going to choose some of the awardees that we feel have made the best application, could use the assistance, up to $1,000 to assist them in just that little bit of seed money to get going. In the past, we've helped a number of people, a number of blind people, people in wheelchairs, various disabilities. So don't count yourself out of this. I'm going to give you a hint on this, though. Do not say, I want $1,000 to open up a coffee shop. Break it down. Exactly what is that $1,000 going to be used for? I would like $150 to incorporate. I need $200 for software. I need $500 for a deposit, that type of thing. Break down exactly what the funds are going to be used for, because most people, we have a very little bit small amount of money to award, and we want to make sure we get the most benefit out of it. So you may get, if you only the $150,000 to, $150 to help you incorporate, and we will assist you in finding the additional funding needed. So once again, if you are, or you know a disabled entrepreneur, or you've had that idea in the back of your mind and you're wondering where you can get assistance with it, please reach out to us at the 36 Squared Business Incubator, and our contact information is going to be at the end of this presentation. Special service areas. Now, again, this is a really good program that I'm familiar with from the City of Chicago. It typically, if you're doing business in a commercial corridor, a retail business, theater, coffee shop, that type of area, there may very well be a special service area, SSA, connected with that tax district. I know that my colleagues at Greater Southwest have them, and there's a number of them across the city. If you go into various neighborhoods, and you notice some neighborhoods, they might have wrought iron bike racks, or you might see banners on the light poles promoting the neighborhood, or they have special events. These are often funded by SSA, special service areas. And this is where typically a chamber of commerce or a local business development organization will have funds that they're able to disperse. And these is a program run by the city, but administered through the local organizations. And once again, if you're some of the organizations disperse the funds for facade improvement to make the outside of your storefront look better. Some will pay for security cameras. So there's a wide range of services and enhancements that these funds could be used for. I really, really highly recommend that you take a look at the special service area program. If you're not in a Sba district, if you have a retail, restaurant, cafe, that type of business. So what about COVID? Last year was a disaster for everybody. It's actually the business. I was 4 times busier last year than I've been in my entire career. I'm going to touch on this briefly. Even though many of these programs are not available now, we're not back 100%. The economy is not back 100%. There's still challenges out there, and I am expecting some of these programs to be refunded and roll out again. If they're not these programs, to other ones that are similar to it. So the first program, and I believe this is still available, is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, EIDL. And that is the only loan that comes directly from the SBA. You can apply for it online at sba.gov, and it's a very low interest loan, they're very flexible as far as their requirements, more than a normal SBA funding. And so if you've been affected by the pandemic and you're still rebuilding, and you could use a good terms on a low interest loan, I recommend you check out EIDL. The Paycheck Protection Program is currently out of funds. However, once again, this is a low interest loan, and it also has a forgivable portion component to the loan. So some of it could be turned into a grant if you use the money for eligible expenses. The Paycheck Protection Program is an SBA program, but it's administered through the lenders. So you would want to go to your local bank or your local lender, or fundera.com online, and it's good for that. Once again, there is no funding available right now for the Paycheck Protection Program, but it has been refunded before, and I do not be surprised, I should say, if it's funded again. So check with your local lender and ask them to let you know as soon as funding comes available for that. Another great program from last year was the State of Illinois Business Interruption Grant Program. This is closed, but I wouldn't be surprised if it opens up again. I'm hearing rumors through the state that it or something like it might very well open. And this was just a flat out grant to assist businesses who were harmed by the pandemic or challenges that we ran into last year. The city of Chicago also has similar programs. So even though the funding may not be available now, I am expecting more funds to be coming available in the future. So check with your city and county website. Some other things to consider: empowerment zones, hub zones, enterprise zones, Tif districts. These are all sources of funds or incentives to help stimulate the economy in these areas. Empowerment zones can be tax incentives. Hub zones, historically underutilized business zones. This will give you some preferences, especially when you're getting government contracts. Enterprise zones, once again, there's tax incentives, there's some regulatory relief to stimulate business in these areas. Tif districts, these are tax increment funding districts where there's tax revenues available to stimulate economic area. The small business improvement funding, for example, comes from Tif districts. These are all government designated zones. It's easy to find out online, to find out through Google, the SBA, whether or not you're in one of these zones. Also, your advisors at the Neighborhood Business Development Centers or the SBDC should be able to assist you with. Oh, I ran through that pretty quickly. Stella, do you think we're ready to accept some questions?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'm skimming through. Give me 1 second.
Okay. While you're looking, this is our contact information. Our NBDC program manager is Veronica. You can reach her at veronica@36business.org. If you're looking for the NBDC in your area, certainly we'll be happy to assist you, or Veronica can refer you out to the neighborhood business development center that's in your area. So when you email Veronica, email her your zip code, and we'll do our best to refer you to some assistance that could be in your area. If you want to contact me directly, again, my name's Andrew. You can reach me at andrewgfogaty@36business.org, and I'll be happy to assist you or refer you to SBDCs or NBDCs, PTACs, ITCs that are in your area.
Okay, first question. Is there a general business license for Cook County? I don't live in Chicago, but I'm starting a food business.
I don't think the county itself. It would have to deal with the city or the municipality where you're. I want to say this is not my forte. Because the NBDCs, there's actually regional business development centers funded by the city to assist with licensing, and the SBDCs do. However, as far it would depend on exactly where your business is located. So if you're in one of the suburbs, that's where you want to contact your city hall in that suburb about the licensing requirements. There's not, to my knowledge, a county-wide business license.
What if you are a nonprofit serving disabled populations, such as a parent group, development employment for the disabled children?
I'm assuming this is certainly reach out to me and directly. My email address is here on the screen, and give me a little bit more information about your organization, and I'll see what might be available that would apply to you. So yeah, please do reach out to me with that directly with that question.
Okay. I'm seeking information on government grants for marketing, social networking, and printing services. Where do I start?
There really is not any type of government grant that I'm aware of that would cover that. It's the short answer. I should say there's not a lot of grants for startups, period. And I understand that obviously with startups, funding is a big issue. So if you're a pure startup, first thing I would do is contact your SBDC, your NBDC, and a lot of the entrepreneurs I run into make the mistake of working for years on a really extensive business plan, and it's asking for millions of dollars. And funding startups are very difficult. So unless you have millions of dollars, what I would recommend is that they call it MVP, minimal viable product, is that you find out the streamline the minimal way that you can launch to test out your product. If your idea is you want to be an Entenmann's bakery, you want to have a huge commercial baking facility, you want to have 100 people baking cookies and muffins, and you want those to be sold at grocery stores across the country, that's going to be a multi-million-dollar business. But if you don't have millions of dollars, if you have no dollars or very few, what I would suggest you do is start out with 1 or 2 bakery items. I would suggest you contact the city about finding perhaps a shared kitchen space. I would start selling your goods online and perhaps at the farmers markets that the city has puts on. What you want to do is start your business essentially on a shoestring. You want to bootstrap it. Now, there's a few advantages to this. You're actually learning how to run a business while you're conducting your business. You haven't put a lot of funding. You don't have a huge loan to pay off, and you're testing your product. If you put two cookies out there, one is oatmeal and one is chocolate, you'll find out which sells better. And maybe your feedback will tell you need raisins in the oat. And so you can test and grow. Also, if you incorporate on your business, you start an LLC and you start this way, you're actually going to have hard data when you're ready to go to the bank. If you go to a bank now and you say, I have no money, but I want to start a commercial baking business, in all likelihood, they will not give you the funding. However, if you go and you say, I started this business last year, we started at a shared kitchen and I started out selling 20 boxes of cookies a week, and now I'm up to 1,000 a week, and I want to have a retail storefront and I need this. After a year or two, you're no longer a startup. You have hard data on the growth of your business. You've checked out your products, you know how they sell. And these are all things you can present to a lender that will make it much more attractive to the lender. So you're saying, is there flat out loans for is there flat out grants for starting businesses? Most cases, no. We have another question there?
Oh, yes, we do.
Okay.
Can you review the type of businesses, C Corp, B Corp, LLC, etc., and the benefits of each?
Okay, so that's a little in depth, and it is the state of Illinois, actually. If you email me, I'll send you a Starting Your Business in Illinois handbook that will go through each of those in depth and tell you exactly. What I will say about that is do not be a sole proprietor. Sole proprietor means it's essentially just you. I have a van. If I wanted to start doing deliveries on that van, and it's Andrew's van and all my company, Andrew's Deliveries, I'm a sole proprietor. If I run over somebody in that van, if I get in an accident, if I deliver whatever I'm delivering in that van and it's broken and I get sued, they're suing me personally because as a sole proprietor, I am the company is me. So do not become a sole proprietor. As far as I recommend a lot of my clients go the route of an LLC, which is a limited liability corporation. And just as it says, it limits your liability. It sets up the corporation is different than you. As far as exactly how to find out more information about that, there's a few different ways you can incorporate. The least expensive way be cyberdriveillinois.com. That's a state of Illinois website where you can do it yourself. So you incorporate as an LLC and just pay the state fees. There's also a newer organization called Incfile. I believe it's inc.file.com, INCFILE.com. It may be incfile.org. And they will also incorporate you. And in some cases, they'll do it for free also. So if they're willing to do the work for free, check it out. Legalzoom.com, they're not attorneys, but they do a really good job walking you through the process and essentially doing all the work for you to get you incorporated. I've worked with them before, both nonprofit and for-profit organizations, and they do a very good job. So there is a fee attached to it, but in my opinion, it's worth it to make sure it's done right. And then, of course, there's a number of attorneys who will do a good job for you. Love to assist you with it.
Next question. Are the SBA loans connected to the PPP loans, or are there others available?
So there's a number of SBA products available. Okay, and they're typically when you hear people talk about SBA loans, usually they're not actually loans from the SBA. The SBA guarantees loans, but bank loans. So typically, you as the borrower would put in 10%. The SBA will guarantee 40%, and that means that the bank is actually on the line putting at risk 50% of the funds. So the real reasoning behind SBA loans is that they are guaranteeing a portion of the loan to the lender on your behalf. So SBAs are a good way to go. There's a number of SBA lenders. Again, they're not the SBA, but they're either organizations or banks that participate in the program. Most banks do. Somercor, who does the SPIF program, SOMERCOR, I think it's .com, .org again. Somercor does a very good job SBA loans, so they want to check out their website there. The PPP program is SBA funding going through the banks, but it's very specifically for relief from the pandemic, paycheck and disaster, Paycheck Protection program. It's a good loan. It does go through the bank. It's not. They've run out of money now. They've run out of money again before, and they have refunded it. So I expect it or something like it to be refunded again. The EIDL loan is once again the SBA loan that you apply for at sba.gov. This is the only loan that's available directly from the SBA at this point. And if anybody tried to get that loan last year, there were some glitches and holdups. And that's because typically SBA disaster loans will happen in perhaps a county in Florida if there's a hurricane or if there's a flood in Louisiana. I don't recall a time when everybody in the country, the SBA has had to deal with virtually every business in the country having a disaster at exactly the same time. So taking that into consideration, I know there were some glitches, but I do think they did a pretty good job in responding. And the EIDL loan is, as I understand it, still available at sba.gov. Got another one, Stellan?
Yes, we do. I just lost it.
I actually saw somebody flash on a question there about new market tax credits. Now, new market tax credit is a funding mechanism, I'll call it. It's fairly complicated. They're not available all the time. And this is typically for projects that would be above the $5 million range. It's very complicated. You do need advisors. It's more skilled in it than I am for sure to assist you with it. It's not a credit to you. What it is the new market, the tax credits are what fund the program, and a portion of the program is forgivable. So it is really good if you can work with it. Typically, I work with smaller businesses, though. I recommend they go there. I also think unless you're have some pretty deep pockets and a lot of experience, I don't think new market tax credits are. I've often seen them used for expansion. It may be difficult to use it for a smaller startup. Ready for another one?
Yep. Which funding source are best for a small 501c3 arts organization?
Well, it depends on what the funding is going to be used for. So certainly there are, if you're a small 501c3 organization, you can take advantage of most of what we just discussed. You could also, if you were looking for a micro lender, there's, I believe they used to be called Axion. I believe they're Allies for Small Business now. They do a great job of micro lending. If you're currently in business, the Women's Business Development Center has a micro lending program. Also, if you wanted to raise funds and the other programs are not working for you, I would recommend Kiva. And Kiva is a crowdfunding lending mechanism that I've used successfully with some of my clients. And you can get, I believe, $1,000 to $5,000 at 0% interest rate. It's kind of an interesting system. So I'd recommend you check out Kiva. It depends, but to go back, if you say you're small, it depends on how much money you're looking for, and feel free to reach out to me directly on that. See if I can some resources. I also want to mention CIBC real quick. CIBC is a sponsor of 36 Squared, and I know that we also sponsor programs with BACP here. CIBC has some programs to work with business affairs and consumer protection. They have some programs where they will do micro lending to smaller organizations, and that would also be good contact for you. So if you reach out to me directly, I'll make that connection.
Can foreigners get funding for businesses?
Yes. Foreigners, yes.
That's how they worded it.
Used to be a foreigner, so I can say that. Yes.
Is there an organization that helps disabled veterans?
All of the organizations I've mentioned will help disabled. The SBDCs, the NBDCs will help disabled veterans. I certainly, as I said, 36 Square Business Incubator, we have a focus on entrepreneurs with disabilities. So reach out to me directly. I'd like to hear about what you're trying to do. And if I can't help you, I'll just to find somebody who.
I am currently a home-based business looking to acquire a commercial property for my business, but I'm not sure if I qualify for the NOF, and I'm not sure if I qualify for anything else either. Can you help me out?
Yeah, if you're looking in the city of Chicago, it depends on the type of business you have. Okay, take a look at the NOF website. You may very well qualify. Look at the business who have already received awards. You know, that could give you a good idea. When you say acquire, I assume you mean not lease. You want to own it. Take a look at the Cook County Land Bank. There's a lot of properties on there. Depending on how or you know, the financial health of your business, you may be able to just buy it. A few years ago, I had a client who was very upset because she was leasing a building, and the homeowner decided to sell, and she didn't think she could purchase it. But we were able to set her up with SBA funding where she only had to put 10% down. And we were able to put her together with some other resources that assisted her with the building. I also want to say that when there's another program that I did not mention on here, and I should have. If you are in business or you're opening a business and you're starting to hire people, there's something called OJT, on the job training. This is a grant program where you'll be reimbursed up to $10,000 per new employee that you put on the job for training. Once again, this is not retroactive. So the person needs to be on or eligible for unemployment. And we all know there's a lot of good people out there that are on or eligible for unemployment. And they have to be approved for the program prior to you getting hired. So in the past, I've told business owners about this program, and I've said exactly this. They have to be approved before you hire them. And without fail, somebody always calls and says, "Great news, Andrew. I have somebody who's eligible for that program. I just hired him Monday." So the way that works, if you're interested in that program, if you're currently hiring, you're interested people and want to put somebody on and they're on unemployment, say, "No, I think this is going well. We'll circle back again next Monday. I'm working with a training program, and they'll be in touch with you in the next few days." In that case, what you'll do is you'll contact the administrators of the program. They'll contact the applicant, confirm that they're eligible, and then you can hire them. Once again, it's up to $10,000 per new employee to train into your business position. So it's a good program. And if you need more details about that one particularly, reach out to myself or Veronica.
Okay, we're going to take at least probably like 2 more questions because you have a lot of questions. I think it'd be great if everyone could reach out to you via email because these questions are really in depth, but we will take 2 more questions.
Okay.
Does your business have to be active for a certain number of years in order to be eligible for grants?
For most of these, no. I know that was a pretty short and quick answer, but yeah, most of these are no.
Okay. And I saw one good one about a daycare center.
If you're if you want to open a daycare center, I would really recommend that you contact the Women's Business Development Center. You can Google them. They're a great organization here in Chicago. They're right down there on Michigan Avenue, and they have a few satellite organizations. But they do have done a lot of work with launching daycare centers in the past. Um, so I would really recommend that.
Here's a good one. I'm a single woman wanting to open a coffee shop cafe in Rogers Park. First time entrepreneur. Any advice?
Yes, the coffee shop is a great a great business. Um, Certainly contact us. If we can't help you, we'll be happy to put you in touch with someone. Some very specific advice for people who want to open coffee shops or any type of food type business. Try and find a location that it was already some type of food business. It used to be a restaurant, used to be a coffee shop, because there are a lot of requirements for food businesses. If you find a space that say used to be a shoe store, it's going to be expensive, time consuming to get it renovated and up and running as a restaurant or a coffee shop. So the first piece of advice is to try and find a location that what used to be a food business. It's going to save you a lot of headaches. Um, I would also recommend a frequent mistake that I see among clients that I work with is they don't have experience in the business. So coffee shop seems like it might be fun. First thing to do, if you have not already worked in a coffee shop, go get a job. And if you do want to do doggy daycare, go get a job. And for one thing, having experience is going to make your application a lot more attractive to the lender. It's also going to save you from being deep in debt and tied to a lease or a mortgage and stuck in a business that you may find out you don't actually like once you're doing it. So get some experience in the business. I also want to take this opportunity to tell you that I've helped launch more than 60 businesses, and I have hundreds and hundreds of clients. And the one quality that I think my successful businesses have, the one quality, it's not money, it's not education, it's perseverance. If you keep at it, like with my blind clients, my chef Laura, as I mentioned before, I have another client. He was a trucker. He loved trucking. He drove a semi up and down the coast. He loved it. He had some medical difficulties, became 100% blind. So, however, he has that type of personality where you can knock him down, but he gets back up. So he took a couple of years to learn how to navigate the world with a cane, learn all that type of thing. And then he turned up in my office and he said, you know, I realize I can't drive a truck, but I know all the ins and outs of the trucking company, of the trucking business. I know freight forwarders. All I need is a truck and I'm ready to go. So it took a while. Once again, it's never easy funding startups. Most people didn't believe he could do it, but we were successful in getting him his first truck. And then about less than a year later, he put together the funding and got his second vehicle. So I think his both trucks are still on the road. And, you know, he was happy doing his trucks. I also want to say that I had an appointment with him a couple of years ago in February, and he called to say he couldn't keep the appointment because his kidney was in. He had to go to Wisconsin to get his kidney transplant. This is a young guy, and I was amazed. So I actually have a picture of him, and he's a gentleman of color, by the way. I have a picture of him in his hospital bed, running his after recovering from his kidney transplant and running his trucking company from his phone. So when you think that you've got the world's against you, when you think you've got these different reasons why you can't do it, again, it's perseverance. You may not be able to start with exactly what you're trying to achieve, but start in some small way because there is always a path of getting there. And don't get discouraged because people, and I've seen and I've assisted people in overcoming these obstacles.
Well, I think that was a really, really good way to end today's webinar. Um, I think it was very inspiring. I hope our attendees think that as well. I would ask for some final words, but I felt like that was a final word.
Okay, well, I do want to say, yeah, if you have this idea, I'm going to give one other little piece of advice if I could. Another type of entrepreneur I run into a lot are people that they've spent years putting together the perfect business plan. I would recommend against that. I would recommend starting small and making it happen. Because if you've put years into writing a business plan, usually you're asking a huge amount of funding, and chances are it's not going to happen. Funding is hard to come by. But come talk to myself or one of my colleagues at the NBDCs, the SBDCs, about how you can get there, how you can start with an MVP, a minimal viable product, and then don't get discouraged. Most entrepreneurs, in fact, pretty much every entrepreneur I know, every successful entrepreneur I know has at least one, sometimes 5, sometimes 10 failures under their belt. I have a couple under mine. You have to go through that. You can't start in the NFL. You have to start in the, the public school level and work your way up. There's going to be problems. There's going to be people who don't think you can do it. There's going to be a lot of hard work, but can certainly get there. Two of my favorite clients that I've had for years, one started out of his car. The other, she started out of her apartment. Both of them own huge buildings, and each of them employs 50 to 100 people now, and they're creating jobs. They're happy, they're creating jobs, and they're doing what they love to do. So that should be the goal.
Well, thank you for this presentation. I'm hoping that all of our attendees got some really good information today. If you would like to receive credit for today's webinar, please send us an email at bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. Again, that email address is bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. Also, to learn more about our upcoming webinars, please visit our website at chicago.gov/business education. That's chicago.gov/business education. You will see a list of all of our upcoming webinars. Thank you again, Andrew, for this presentation, and everyone go out and have a great weekend and enjoy this good weather.
Thank you, Stella. Have a good day.
You too.